One of the funnest things you can do with your four-wheel drive vehicle is drive in the snow. In this video, we are snow wheeling in the Mount Hood National Forest. My brother Steve is on the trip, but Sam couldn't make it this time. But my wife Katrinka joined us. She's going to do some of the driving and otherwise keep us on our toes. We had a lot of fun on this trip. We drove through some deep snow. We started a campfire using a steel striker. We helped some nice people that were stuck. We did some recoveries and dodged several snowballs that Katrinka was throwing at us. All right, the topic of the video is tips for driving in the snow. Tip number one is tire pressure. I like to tell people that tire pressure is your number one traction device in the snow. Lowering the PSI in the tire will make the tire both wider and longer. This means more traction. In the snow, you should be about 10 PSI and even lower. However, you want to be careful not to lose a bead or pinch a sidewall. So your PSI will vary depending on the size of your tire and the type of wheel you have. So don't be overly aggressive with acceleration or turning until you know how your tires perform at the PSI that you have selected. The other thing when talking about PSI and tires is tires themselves. I always use a snow rated tire. I look for the 3-peak mountain snowflake symbol on the side of the tire. It should look like this. And if it has the 3-peak mountain snowflake symbol, it means that the tire has been tested and proven capable of performing in extreme winter weather driving conditions. So it's fit for use in severe snow conditions. I drive over the pass all the time in the winter. I have never put on chains. I go with snow-rated tires and PSI. That's what I do. Of course, always do your own research and do what you think is safe for you and your family. Well, now we're going to switch it up. Katrinka's going to hop out of the passenger side and move around over to the driver's side and do some driving. I have a little bit of a hard time getting back into the passenger side. Man down. I was out on camera crew duty and my vehicle has been stolen. My lovely wife, Katrinka, has commandeered the 4Runner and is now the snow wheeling expert. Well, she jumped in and without hesitation pretty much drove it like she stole it. She was not at all intimidated by a little bit of snow. Now this next scene is what you'd call behind the scenes. It's the life of a cameraman. This is how I film my wife driving. I get my workout and she's driving in the back. Woohoo! Well, while we've been filming back there, Steve got ahead of us, so she's gonna pull up here and pick me up so we can catch up with Steve. Nice. When she pulled up, the snowbank was too high. There wasn't room to open the door, so I just hopped on and away we went trying to catch up with Steve. It's too deep to step off of the ruts and get in the snow, so I'm on the rock sliders. So she steps on it and we race to catch up with Steve. It's like being in some epic race across the Antarctica, but we finally catch him. It's a little sketchy when you do the snowplow action if you get pulled down.
Go up on the top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a little downhill right there that I went off into the deep stuff, and then I got the downhill grade. You want to watch that? Just saying.
Experienced drivers don't have to worry about that.
True. But I heard you're very experienced at driving into trees. That's been documented.
I don't know. I don't know anything about that.
So at this point I notice all the snow on the front of the vehicle and I begin a very important scientific experiment, unlocking the mystery of the snow pancake. And Steve's just not having any patience with it. So I just don't think he understands. This is the stuff of Nobel Prizes, of ticker tape parades, of the applause of the scientific community. This is science. Check out the snow pancake.
I'm currently stopped. Once again, I'm waiting on Overland Pacific Northwest.
Perfect snow pancake. Science.
Waiting on Overland Pacific Northwest again.
I'm on camera here, I'm filming.
Whoa!
Okay, enough fun and games. Tip number 2. Let's talk about divots. See how these wheels are spinning? In the snow, momentum is your friend. So here in this scene, I'm driving behind Steve. I'm moving through the snow. I'm not going to have very many problems. But when I stop, problems can happen. When you stop, you can actually create divots under your tires, and you can get stuck in these divots and it's difficult to get out. And it happens because either the snow conditions are really soft and you just sink, but also your tires are generating friction as they're moving across the snow, so they're actually warmer than the snow itself. And when you come to a stop, you can melt the snow underneath and create these divots, and sometimes they're very icy divots. So the pro tip is to come to a stop, pause momentarily, then back up off of those divots, and then you can just drive forward. So let's look at some examples. Here Steve stopped and he's in divot, so he's going to back up, and you'll see the divot by the yellow arrow right there. So he'll back up and come right over it. Right, here's another example of where he's come to a stop, and you'll see a divot created, indicated by the yellow arrow. Again, he'll back up and come right over it. On the way to the trail, we helped some people that had a divot situation. It was a small icy divot you see by the yellow arrow.
Drive right over them.
Right over them?
Yeah,
And
once
just
you
keep
got
it
it
in
nice
there?
and slow. And then it'll go right up over those thorns.
And then I can just go straight.
Yep,
Yeah.
then
Slow
go
and
straight.
steady.
And go.
Okay, go.
Yeah.
Got
Bingo!
it, got it. Awesome. Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
For the win. Traction boards for the win.
Okay, back on the trail, there was one other delay that was admittedly my fault due to drone pilot error.
I was wondering if you could explain the current delay.
Man, I went to launch the drone and it had a rotor error and it just went whoosh up into the embankment in the snow.
Oh,
But it's flying now.
rotor error.
A rotor
Pilot error.
Okay, the next tip is this. If an older brother asks a younger brother to pull over so that the older brother can pass, the younger brother should not listen. This is just a ploy that the older brother is using to teach the younger brother patience. He actually did get stuck when I asked him to pull over.
Like a good brother, I asked Steve to pull over so I could pass, and the snow got a little soft there, so now we're going to yank him out.
Well, as you may have guessed, tip 3 is really about kinetic ropes. So kinetic ropes are designed to extract vehicles from compression type terrain. So we're talking about mud, sand, and snow. So when you're snow wheeling, always have a kinetic rope with you. The reason you're extracting from compression type terrain is these ropes stretch anywhere from 20% to 30% of their length, depending on what the manufacturer claims. So the rope stretches and it stores that kinetic energy in the stretch and then releases it as it smoothly extracts the vehicle from the compression terrain. So there's things you need to know about kinetic ropes. First, you need to choose the correct size. If you take a small rope, a kinetic rope that's designed for a quad or ATV, and use it to try and extract a Unimog, you're going to have a bad outcome. So the way to buy the correct size kinetic rope is to buy one that is based on the weight of your vehicle. So it's your vehicle's gross weight plus cargo. If you get a rope that's too small, it's going to break. If you get a rope that's too big, it's not going to stretch, and you're going to introduce very, very high shock loads and possibly damage to the vehicles. So what size rope? I've seen everything from a 3-to-1 to a 6-to-1 minimum braking strength to gross vehicle weight ratio. Now the rope that I'm using right now is 30 feet long. It's 7/8 inch double braided nylon, and it has a 28,300 pound minimum braking strength. And for me, that's approximately a 4-to-1 ratio. Now on the list of things to know, you've got to let kinetic ropes rest. If you use them repeatedly and you can feel that they're hot, you need to let it rest before you use it again. It's losing its elasticity. The other thing to know is don't use your kinetic energy rope as a tow rope. Don't do long distance towing. It results in nylon fiber breakdown and the rope loses its ability to stretch. Another thing to know is pull straight. I think most manufacturers will say you can pull up to a 10-degree angle, but there's videos online of people pulling sideways. And remember, this is a kinetic extraction, right? So if you're yanking something out and it pops out going sideways, you can roll a vehicle. So the idea is to pull straight. Those are some of the high points on kinetic energy ropes. And speaking of high points, I got myself high centered here just for fun, so we could do an extraction for this video. Good example of just a level 1 first attempt pull. And I came right out nice and smooth. And this is another example from a previous video that we did where we pulled Sam's Jeep out of a stuck spot. Again, just a nice level 1 easy extraction. All right, while Katrinka is throwing snowballs at my brother, the next tip is a pretty quick and easy one. Bring some de-icer and also maybe a small propane torch. You'll find that things freeze in the snow, so if you're airing up and airing down, your valve stem can actually freeze and you won't be able to air back up. I've had my air hose connector freeze open, and so my air compressor was just stuck with an open valve. And okay, tip 5 has to do with this tree blocking our trail. The question is, do we want to go through the effort of chainsawing? Well, the answer to that question is no. We did not want to go through the effort of chainsawing. There is a lake further down the road, and someday we want to do a snow camp down there, but not this weekend. So tip 5 has to do with how to execute a slide turn on a narrow trail like this. And knowing how to do this right could be the difference between getting home or not getting home. We were just goofing around on the spot for a minute, pretty confident that we could turn around. And it resulted in, guess what? Divets. So we quickly did a winch extraction and got Steve out, and then we'll show you how to execute the slide turn. Hey, try that 8-track.
It's on.
Is it? Unspool your winch, I'll pull you out. Here, I want to help my brother. He's stuck. I'll help him. All right, I'm pushing. Go. Go. I can do it. I know I can. Here we go. Oof. This is one of those times where I'm glad Steve got this ultra hook. Do it, Steve! Here we quickly get Steve winched out of the divets. Then he will turn around and pull forward pretty easily there. And now I'll show you how to execute the slide turn. Tricks to this. First, it's the approach. Right here, you want to go in as straight as possible. And once you get here, now you just keep those front wheels going and they pull your front end around. And then you just turn and drive out. I'm going to show it to you one more time and watch the front wheels when I get the back end all the way up. How you keep the pedal down right here. You just spin and pull the front end around and you are on your way. Well, after that, I wanted to have some fun starting a fire with the Steel Striker. There's just something really satisfying about starting a fire with a spark. These are backpackable little fire plugs. They are supposed to start in the snow and water and just about any conditions, and in fact they did. So pretty cool thing and something I'll be taking on backpack trips. Anyways, I had some fun getting this fire going. For some bonus footage, we met a guy with a Nissan Safari on 40-inch tires. He was a really nice guy. We actually drove with him for a while. It was a beast of a machine. I mean, it was a snowplow, unstoppable. And he drove up over this berm and basically jumped it. And I'm going to show you that right now. This machine was just a thing of beauty. And flawless, right? And that is definitely worth a repeat. Here it is. Very cool. Well, guys, that was it. This is part of our drive out. Just beautiful country. We get one last snowball throw from Katrinka. She's a good shot. It's all good fun, guys. Thanks for watching.